topics or not on mine?
Yeah, I got two rolling around in my brain. One is a little bit heavier than the other. So what do you guys want?
In your mind,
Let's take it
does
light,
that look like
I
a
guess,
fidget
at the
spinner
end.
spinning?
Let's try and be
I'm just
more-
figuring out these stupid fidget spinners. I don't know what the deal is. I
I've
don't know
got
why
one
it's
in the-
so
I've got
popular.
You're not
one
on
in
the
the
right
mail.
social networks.
I think the
Yeah.
fidget spinner might be my solution. I'm waiting. It's coming from
Yeah.
China. It'll be here in a month or two.
My
gotta
Snapchat
hold out
is
till
nothing
then.
but fidget spinners. It's like it's almost mesmerizing.
yeah.
My Snapchat feed is just
The one
only
student
fidget
came in with
spinners.
one day, and I was convinced I was going to think they were stupid. But like the moment I started doing it, my brain was like, "Yep, this is what I need. I could do this all day." Luckily, I have a guitar in my hands all day here, so I have something to like. I'm a fidgeter. People don't notice it about me a lot of times, but like my hands will normally go like. I mean, you guys have probably had to deal with me clicking a pen.
Yeah.
But like that lets my brain work. The one day during one of our meetings, I built Legos because I had nothing else to like occupy my brain, and I knew I was in a danger zone for like my brain tuning everything out. So I had to just do something with my hands to keep my brain going. So I think it actually might help for me. But anyways, sidebar on fidget spinners.
Let's go light.
Yeah, what is your
light
light topic? Give us something light.
My light topic is, what is your favorite horror movie?
Oh, yes.
So many.
Top three.
Can it be
If
does it
you
have to
have
be
to.
a horror movie or a
Yes.
thriller?
It has to be. Okay, so let's put this into perspective. It can't be thriller, as in like
Someone's been murdered.
Predator.
And we don't know who it is. And
Predator's not a horror movie.
No, that's like an action.
Yeah, but you know what I
thriller.
mean. Like it
Yeah,
has to
an
be.
action thriller.
There has to be death of some sort involved.
It needs to
or
be existentially terrifying.
Zombies,
A lot
monsters.
of them aren't
I
existential
like
terrifying.
the
Terrible things are happening to people in some way, shape, or form.
No.
The Exorcism of Emily Rose is mine.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't even remember watching. I know I've seen that, and I don't remember watching it.
Give us the
enough.
Cole's notes on it. I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
Well, it's supposed to be like a real life sort of dramatized version of like something that happened to this girl, Emily Rose, that was supposedly possessed, and then she went through that whole sort of rigmarole where they were like blessing her and trying to take these demon spirits. But the thing that made the movie interesting for me was afterwards looking up the real story of Emily Rose and hearing the actual like audio where she's like talking like this and she's just listing off a slew of numbers, and then looking back at her life and seeing she was just this normal girl at one point, and then somehow something went wrong, and then it's presumed to be she was possessed. I just thought it was an interesting story, and I liked how the movie was done. Yeah.
What? So was the question my favorite horror movie? Like, does it have to be a horror movie I like?
No, you just
'Cause
your
there's
favorite.
Your favorite one that
your
you don't
favorite
like.
one.
Because I've got a ceiling, and there's a lot of movies that I just can't.
I can't do gore. I can't do. Well, I can.
Like Saw.
Well,
I don't like gore porn.
Or
I
think
can
it's
do
Hostel,
gore
more
porn,
like
yeah.
Hostel, more like pretty gross.
I can actually do like the Masters of Horror style bad practical effects. Like
I
try
love
and-
that. I
try
love
and
like
gore me
I
out, but
absolutely love bad practical effect horror. I love when you can tell it was done practically in a way that you can admire. Like when it crosses a threshold where it becomes just gratuitous, I think that's when I tune out.
And when you combine that with the burst, The Grudge was the first one that I saw where I was like, okay, now I don't like horror. You know what? I don't like this style of horror movie because I was I was telling myself I was into Scream. I was telling myself I was in all those movies. I went to see The Grudge in the theater, and there's just a bunch of scenes where it's just like, here's a smash, like sensory overload thing that happens, and it scares you. But I didn't. But talk about the psychological existential horror. The Grudge is not scary. Those kid ghosts are trapped in a house. The Ring is not scary that way. That girl is trapped in a VHS tape. The movies themselves are visually overwhelming. So you could call those good horror movies to some people, not my favorites. Slither isn't really a horror movie,
That's James Gunn, right?
but totally creeps me out, but in the right way. The uncanny valley way, where it's still scary and I don't want to watch, but at the same time, I'm like,
You can't look
this
away.
is- yeah.
So what about like a movie like Psycho or like the original? You know?
The original Psycho didn't necessarily scare me, but I enjoyed it.
I feel like that still falls into thriller. I know people group it with horror movies, but but it's because it scared people at the time. I like in terms of how I classify films, that goes in the thriller category.
Yeah, I'm
for me.
talking more like Exorcist and
okay,
like
okay.
zombie movies.
So
and like,
okay, thank you. I almost forgot about that one. So the 1983 Night of the Living Dead, top number one, scared the crap out of me. Starts with that woman in the freaking cemetery and people are just crawling out of the graves. Ends with the guy trapped in the basement and she checks to see if he's a zombie, and he is. That movie terrified me forever. Honorable mention, Slither, and of course John Carpenter's The Thing. I've already been talking about that tonight.
That one's almost like a body horror. Like it's very like grotesque in a way. Like the scariest thing is the psychological element and the watching like people's bodies be deformed and mutated and torn apart like in a way that that's just terrifying, that I think everyone has this innate fear of.
But we lose. I walk away from that. I'm walking away from that. Somebody else stop. Somebody else go.
Okay. I think my favorite horror character in the movies vary from great to awful, but Freddy Krueger. I love the Nightmare on Elm Street movies, even the campy ones. The only one I don't like is the second one.
What about Freddy versus Jason?
I actually really like that movie because it came out when I was like 13. So I I couldn't get into the theater to see it. I remember I couldn't go, and then I found out that someone's mom had shown up and was signing off on all of the kids going into the movie. And like, so I was really bummed out that I didn't go because I could have gotten in because this kid's mom was like standing there being like, yep, they're allowed to go in. Yep. Like, she was like chaperone, like, oh, yep, I brought all these kids to see this movie. And I found that out the next day at school and I was so bummed out. But it's a bad movie, but I still have I have very fond memories of the first Star Wars. So the first, as in episode 1, not the first Star Wars.
How do you feel about Scary Terry?
Scary Terry. Oh, Rick and Morty is like, that is one of my favorite things. My entire perspective on Freddy Krueger changed when they're like, he keeps saying we can run, but we can't hide. Maybe we should just try it. We could just try hiding. He's telling us not to hide, so we should just try and hide. Like, why would he tell us not to if we couldn't? And they're like, oh, okay, this worked out. He's just like, you can run, but you can't hide. I'm still out here looking for you. I just love that idea that like if anyone ever actually tried to like go against that dumb cliche of you can run but you can't hide, they would have definitely survived because that's clearly the better of the two options. But yeah, that whole thing. Aw, bitch.
Yeah.
If you
don't even trip, dog. We got you, Terry. Yeah. I love Freddy Krueger. I love that. The reason I asked about thrillers is because I love the tradition that was started by Hitchcock of like these really clever and funny thrillers where you actually care about the characters, like Vertigo and like Rear Window and North by Northwest. Is that what it's called? The one with is that Clark Gable or no? I don't know. Anyway,
Jimmy Clark Gable.
No,
with the plane.
Gable. Yeah. But that's a great movie. Like those movies I find really exciting, and they're definitely not horror movies. But that's why when you brought up Psycho, I'm like, that was one of the ones I would have put into the list.
Would you call Birds a horror?
I feel like that one's a horror just because it's entirely based on like something that causes horror. Even though Psycho does do that, I feel like Thriller takes on a lot of the stuff that's just directly about a person like being directly. I don't know. There's a weird line, and I don't know how to define it, but
yeah, people can be. I don't know. The not scary. The fear Mark Wahlberg is actually, a lot less scary than the real life Mark Wahlberg.
I think I have one more to add, and this is like where my heart lies with horror movies. I grew up on all like the dumb, campy horror movies, but I've grown to love bad movies in a way that I cannot. There's no way I can really explain it to anyone. But if people who do understand it, Troll 2. Is one of the best bad movies of all time, and
My goodness,
like there's so many good.
They're goblins.
Yeah.
They're goblins.
Yeah, they're goblins.
Time.
The movie has no trolls in it
because they didn't have the licensing.
It is not a
rights.
sequel to the movie Troll. None of the actors from Troll are in Troll 2.
But it's the number 2.
The main character is a dentist. He was actually I don't mean he plays a dentist. He was a dentist that they got to play the lead in the movie. There's an entire movie about
where he morphs
about that movie.
And
he gets
all green and
it's there's a great one of my favorite line readings of all time in that movie. There's a part where this girl, basically the trolls or the goblins in the movie Troll 2 turn their victims into plants that then they turn into goo and then they eat them. And this kid finally has this realization. He sees it happening. He goes, oh no, they're eating her. And then they're going to eat me. And it's the most magical thing to watch because he doesn't seem scared. He's just like, Like
Just
it
matter of factly,
yeah,
like
it's like really bad acting. Like he's acting scared, but like it's too matter of fact and like straight, like eyes, like his face doesn't move really. Oh, it's just fantastic. It's one of the best line readings of all time. Aside from, if anyone's ever seen the one from, I'm getting off track, but there's a one from Hercules where he's just talking and then he clearly reads the stage direction. He's saying like, "Oh, this is terrible. Disappointed!" He just yells, "Disappointed," which clearly was like, it must have been a parenthetical. It could not have been his dialogue. It's so good. And I probably clipped there, but it was worth it.
right on.
Anyways, yeah, those are my favorites.
Sweet.
What about you, Tom? You never got a chance to actually list yours.
I got a couple that I don't really have favorites of anything. I just have ones I really appreciate.
Yeah, I'd feel the same.
I'm gonna stop sucking up.
Nah, I can't pick. I can't. If I had to pick, like that whole idea of like if you could only have one, like I couldn't do it.
Your
That's
desert,
right, I
your
would.
desert
I would.
island
But that's not what this
collection is
conversation
everything.
Yes. Yes.
It's a 10 terabyte hard drive.
Yeah, exactly. I always get it mixed up. Is the original Dawn of the Dead? Like is Dawn
That's
of
the one
the
in
Dead
the
the
mall.
black? No, so Day of the Dead then, or Night of the Living Dead
was the black and
original
white,
one.
yeah.
The original
The one that they made no money on because they forgot to copyright it.
Yeah.
Is that the night? Is that
So the theaters
1980s?
just played the movie in the theater and didn't have to pay them $1.
Thousands
way.
and
Yeah.
thousands of dollars they've never
Wow.
made. Oh,
Yeah.
millions of dollars.
Millions
What
of
year
dollars.
is that one? Is that the one that I
Merchandising,
like
all of this
too?
stuff. They don't
Is it
have
the
the
19
rights
19
for any of it.
Oops.
No,
They just
this is
forgot
from
to
like
copyright
Yeah.
it.
It's
Well,
like
they were
the
making
original
an
zombie
independent movie. They didn't realize
Is
it was
this
going to
the
be a
one I
hit,
need?
right?
I wanna-
Right.
That's another
It's
one where they
been
just got all their
remade. I
friends
believe it
and the
has been
people who
remade.
gave them money to be in the movie.
Yeah,
Wow.
so
Yeah.
the whole premise behind it was that it's like the original zombie movie, like the modern zombie movie,
Yeah.
I guess.
Like the brains.
The brains,
Shambling
and,
undead, yeah.
and the main character. This is why I love it. Is so. It's more than just a horror movie, I guess. In a way, it's actually kind of social commentary because
Yeah.
the main character is this African American guy,
Yeah.
and he's kind of like
And no one says anything about it.
yeah,
Like
it's
no one
never
no
a
one
thing. It's
addresses the
never-
fact that he's black.
No, it's
Oh yeah,
never
this
a
is
thing.
Romero. So that's definitely the one. It's not 1983 at all. It's 1968. but
Yeah, it's
that
old.
was
yeah.
mine. That's mine too. That was
It's one of the
mine.
last
Yeah.
great black and white
Starts
horror
with
films,
the old dude coming out and he's got the autopsy scar.
Yeah.
And yeah, it ends with the main character and he's trapped in the basement and she goes to look and see and he's a freaking
Yes.
It's such a good
Yes.
movie. That's got to
So I
go on my
wasn't. I
list
must
too.
not have been paying attention when you were talking.
No, I said 1983, and I thought I was describing a remake because I had in my head that was a 1983 film, and I thought that's too late to be the original Night of the Living Dead. But no, I just had to use the internet to confirm.
There you go. Yeah.
That is such a
Same good
fantastic
thing
film
you don't pick
for
favorites.
Yeah.
There's no point.
that. Well, and
No.
the story of it. Have you watched? There's a great documentary on
Yeah,
that movie.
that
Yeah.
was the first time like I had seen bits and pieces of it because it comes up at Halloween time, right?
Yeah.
But that was the first time I was actually like, who is this? Like, what is this? And I was into zombie stuff, and I was like, all right, I'll watch it. And it was great. I loved that it had more to say than just, I'm going to stab you, or I'm going to eat your brains, or I'm going to blow your head off. Like, it was more than just the typical, how do we survive this terrible tragedy horror movie.
And that's what a horror movie should be. It should be a reflection of like basically it draws out your darkest fears and lays them bare, and it treats them as this external problem instead of an internal problem. Like there's millions of people guessing why it was vampires and then it was zombies and what will it be next? Maybe it'll be killer robot movies, who knows? But our psyches seem to go through these things. Like, what were people scared of when it was vampires? They were afraid of having the life sucked out of them or dying and being emaciated, and maybe that's why zombies are popular now. Like, there's a lot of different reasons people say that.
That's
there's
interesting that you
arguments
say that
for-
though, because the killer robot movies will just be people being afraid of killer robots, and we're always that's already shown up.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
think that is
that's
just
an actual. It's funny. It's sort of the opposite of my point. It's actually an external fear that we have, like, that we're thinking about.
Or is it a hyperbolic version of my fear, which is more the AI, the singularity, just kind of being Big Brother in a really not healthy way for us.
Or is it even maybe our fear of our inadequacies being like? Is that what if that became the next fad, would that maybe be the darker side behind it? That, I mean, filmmakers intend these things too. Like no filmmaker goes in and makes a zombie movie at first. Like now they make them because they make money, but like someone like George Romero, he knew he must have examined, like, you don't spend that much time with something without examining your reasons for doing it and what the themes and
like watching the documentary, right? He intended to have the black main character and have that be this is just a thing. Like it wasn't, that was intended to be kind of like a fuck you to everything. It was like, we're gonna do it and shut up about it. And it was never supposed to be this big cult classic that it was supposed to be, but that was definitely intentional.
Yeah.
I'm not sure he thought so much about zombies being a psychological burden on our psyche, but
I think he must have at least thought, like, because if you're trying to make a scary movie, you have to think about what people are scared of.
Yeah, the impact. Yeah,
that's another distinction between zombies, vampires, and robots. Is zombies and vampires predate our culture of films and even our culture of writing down and recording our fiction.
Boogeymen.
Zombies are straight out of voodoo, and vampires. Yeah, you're right. There are deep. They're coming out of our minds. Robots are more like oh, look what we could do with our computer technology, and then what if you made that into a person shape in it? Yeah. There's no Norwegian myths about robots coming out of the sea.
So anyways, that's my first one.
All right.
We have a hard time with you.
All right.
I'm sorry. We'll stop interrupting you so much.
And that's just about wrap time anyway. So
suck it. I got more to say.
Keep going. You keep going.
My next one is another kind of heavy-handed horror movie. Is basically almost anything by Rob Zombie. Ooh. I really like his style of horror movies. How they make me care about these terrible people. And
what was that? 31 October 31, the one that just came out.
The one with Malcolm McDowell.
I won't spoil anything then. Please go on.
Yeah, I just love how it's so something weird about the aesthetic. I don't know what it is. It just seems so well thought out compared to most slasher style.
What are some of his movies, man? I don't know. I don't actually know.
House of the Living Dead? Is that no? Devil's Rejects was the one. Yeah. House of Thousand Corpses.
Shit. For a guy that watches 4 hours of movies and TV every night, I don't know
those
about
two.
90%
Yeah.
of
So
movies you guys talk about.
House of a Thousand Corpses. Yeah. House of a Thousand Corpses. Is leave it
and we're out.
Yeah. We're wrapping after this anyway.
So House of a Thousand Corpses is the prequel to Devil's Rejects. Same family. It's like this messed up family of serial killers, basically.
Okay.
And it's really hard to describe the whole premise of the story because that's pretty much the story. Is that these people are just killing people.
I saw Devil's Rejects when I was like I couldn't have been more than 13 in Texas. We went to like the Dollar Cinema for like movies that had been out for a while with just me and my two cousins who were younger than I was. And it was like the most messed up experience watching
intense.
a movie.
Yeah, it's
there's like some pretty hardcore.
There's some rapey stuff going on in some
parts.
There's
definitely there's vivid portrayals of like some horrifying acts in that film.
And I think that's what I don't want to say that's what I like about it because that's terrible. But the idea of watching horror movies, you want to have that feeling.
Yeah, it's like
kind of have that little
You're facing your deepest fears.
Yeah, you want to have that tabooness.
Our podcast is getting right now because horror films are so about making you feel like there's my god, like that's just gonna keep happening. Like those people are just gonna keep running around. Backwoods Texas killing people.
Yeah, so which is why Devil's Rejects has a very concise closure at the end of the movie and one of like the most epic endings to a horror movie ever.
That movie still gives me chills. Like I don't like I
because
I saw it at that age and I don't think I've seen the entire thing since. I've seen parts here and there since, but it still makes me like shiver.
Yeah,
like,
even
his
burn into my brain.
At the end, or does she die?
Everybody dies.
Everybody died.
Yeah,
I thought she crawled.
It's like a Manson like family
she might
style.
Crawl away, actually, I have to watch it again.
Like because doesn't it? Wait,
I thought
does it start with them raiding the house? Not that that's important, but isn't there like a raid on the cabin?
It's the hotel, isn't it? At the Devil's Rejects.
Right. So the whole thing is them running from the law, essentially.
Yeah,
right?
because of what had happened in House of a Thousand Corpses.
Oh, okay, yeah. It's really messed up though. They just
It's
go on a tear and like kill a bunch of people and like torture them, and it's just awful.
It's crazy. But again, the reason I like it is because it's this weird. The whole reason you like horror movies, it's you either have it or you don't.
Mm-hmm.
Like most people, you either like horror movies or you don't like them. And I like that taboo-ness about horror movies where it's like, this feels like we shouldn't be doing this right now. But it's okay because it's a movie and I can just watch it and then I don't have to actually participate in the action that's happening.
It's an
just
exploration.
weird. It's just weird. I don't know how to describe it. I'm not doing a very good job of describing it.
There's a great video actually that does go into it. It's more about watching things that like that are awful, like even watching executions and stuff that people post.
Well, why do we want to see
and
that?
Apparently, there's a lot of psychology that says that the reason we do that is because we're so afraid of it, and that we're almost. It's like
Preparing yourself.
It's preparing yourself. Like I think it can be said that one of the cathartic things about going to a funeral that where the casket is open, as horrible of an experience as that is that it gives you that closure, and it gives you the it makes you confront your own mortality. And it's sort of the same thing when you watch something that scares you, is you're confronting your fear, you're confronting your own mortality, and you're confronting, like, if that thing happened to you, maybe you're a little bit more prepared for it now. If you got attacked and murdered, like maybe your brain is convincing itself that now it may be able to deal with it. I don't know. That's but there is a great video on that PBS Idea channel. Go watch it.
So yeah, long story short, I like the original zombie movies.
The Rob Zombie movies.
And then I like Rob Zombie movies. Even Halloween, I think he did a really good job of his
I still
remake of
haven't
Halloween.
got up the courage to watch that. I can't.
Scary? It's too scary.
No, I just like the first one too much.
Oh.
Yeah, I like it. I like how I don't know.
Is that John Carpenter, the original Halloween?
Yes.
I think.
But Mike Myers is Halloween, right?
Yeah. I don't know. I just like his attention to detail. He's very focused on getting what he wants out a certain way, and I really appreciate it.
That is even Jason, but especially Mike Myers, the methodical, like, I'm just chasing you, and that they totally rip on it in the Rick and Morty, but that's scary. The real Freddy Krueger is scary because he's gonna get you no matter what.
Yeah, everybody's gotta go sleep, man.
Yeah.
All right, that's a wrap.
Here we go. Good one.
And just as a final reminder, don't forget to like, subscribe, check us out on Facebook, where we'll post some of our content every week, including the very beginning of this podcast you just watched. So yeah, check us out. And I don't know, read the description. I don't know, whatever you want to do. It's up to you. You're a free individual. You can do whatever you want. I'm gonna ramble, but this is over.
We will see you in your dreams.